Hi Virgo, welcome to your April 2021 Tarot and Astrology reading. So Virgo, Aries season is a very intimate time for you. You can feel quite vulnerable, but it is also a place where you can experience a lot of psychological breakthroughs, a lot. You can really make some substantial headway in any issues you've had that have plagued you for a while. Anything you need to uncover comes up. Anything you need to transform comes to your attention. And you have the power, you have the resources, and you have the energy to do it. Aries season is indeed when you are having a phoenix moment. And it really starts with the new moon in Aries in the 12th. This is a time when you can commit to any kind of journey, knowing that you have the stamina, you have the reserve, you have the force, you have the strength to do it. And it's interesting, any area in the 8th house can be to do with shared resources in terms of money. It can be taxes, it can be inheritances or things like that, but it doesn't have to be. That's kind of overused for the 8th house because it's a water sign house most of the time. It's internalized. It's to do with how you are processing your emotional life and where you could maybe overcome something that has become troubling or is getting in the way of a relationship or is getting in the way of your happiness. You have the power to look into it, to probe it with an eagle eye and see where maybe some emotions have become overwhelming. And, the thing about the 5 of Cups with the 10 of Wands is that he is focusing very clearly on the things in life that trouble him, probably because he wants to resolve something. So what is anxiety of any kind? It's trying to get an answer and trying and trying and trying and trying and trying. And the more you try, the more confused you become. With the 5 of Cups here, he's crying over the 3 that have spilled, not realizing that there's 2 still standing. And that's what the breakthrough is. 10 of Wands, you're overwhelmed by some emotions, some feelings, and then all of a sudden you change your perspective. 6 of Cups and strength. You see how strong you are, how strong you've always been, how your track record until this point of survival has been 100%, how you've overcome so much, how you've worked really hard to get to what you want. Or you see where you could maybe work a little bit harder because your mind was overwhelmed by something. Don't beat yourself up about what cups have spilled. It's time to see the cups you still have standing. It's time to see what's still around. With the 6 of Cups and strength, you may be thinking of going back to a Leo, of marrying a Leo, of having kids with a Leo, renewing your vows with a Leo, reconnecting with a Leo. Any of this energy is potent. But with the 6 of Cups and the Strength card, you're also realizing that you in your family have possibly been the strongest one for the longest time. So, Aries season is when you start to overcome what has been evading you, what's been blocking you, what's been overwhelming you, and that Aries new moon is a beautiful one to do it. So let's talk about that Aries full moon new moon a little bit more. I want to get into it more in the new moon video, and I will do. But the new moon itself, the ruler of it is Mars. And Mars is in Gemini. It is your 10th house of career, success, and recognition. And you have maybe found authority figures quite unbearable lately. You've maybe had too much work on. You've maybe had too much accountability. And it's going to trine with your work house. So you're about to be recognized for it. You're about to be noticed in some capacity. And for a lot of you, that means moving. A lot of you, it means having to move literally. Or it's meaning that you're having to move away from the way you used to deal with these things, the way you used to deal with responsibility, where you shied away from it. Because this Aries new moon is a fearless new beginning for you. Fearless. You're ready to just overcome the stuff that's been working away at you, chipping away at you for a very long time. You're ready to move forward and you're ready to start over. You're ready to be brave. You're ready to be intuitive. High Priestess, beautiful. And around the Scorpio full moon, Virgo, you're ready to speak. That Virgo energy that you have is actually very witchy. You may be opposite Pisces, but you're still very witchy. And you're able to use your intuition, your manifestation powers, your new knowledge with the Hermit to accomplish some big things and to say what it is that you need to say and to surprise a few people. Tower and the Eight of Wands. Now that's an interesting hand. You have an interesting hand. You have an ace up your sleeve. Okay, so Virgo is up to something. I want to know what it is. Okay. Let's have a little look here at the last 3 cards using my trusty selenite wand. The knowledge that you get in April is huge. Even if it's surprising to you, you can absolutely dismantle something that has been working up inside you like a little atomic bomb waiting to go off every time something went wrong in work, every time a relationship had an issue, or every time a new opportunity presented itself. You had a little bomb inside that just really picked its moments to go off. Really picked its moments to say, let's trigger Virgo. Could use a trigger. We don't want to move out of what's safe. We don't want to go past this comfort zone. We don't want to progress too far because we don't know what's out there. And it might have been a subconscious thing, but you're ready to dismantle it. Your knowledge in Aries season is full of love for the area in you that needs it most. That point you need a breakthrough. That careful education you've received on how to dismantle this bomb. Maybe for some of you with the High Priestess, it's a spiritual thing. Maybe you've been doing that shadow work. 8th house energy, perfect for shadow work, because I'll tell you something for nothing. It shows you who you are. It confronts you with what you need to leave behind. It confronts you with your unhelpful, harmful perspectives. And it shows people as well for who they are. Now, sorry, Virgo, I was interrupted. What I was saying is that you are overcoming what it is that you need to overcome that has held you back for a little bit of time. It's interesting because at the end of 2020, you were so close to it. You know, Mars was around in your 8th house for an extended stay, but Mars can be so aggressive that sometimes it can feel like too much. And Mars is also pretty comfortable in the 8th house. But the thing about the sun going there is that where the sun goes, things grow, right? And so you're shining a light on some shadowy stuff, some self-destructive stuff. The 8th house is to do with our obsessions. It's to do with our obsessive thoughts, obsessive actions, compulsions. It's to do with our self-destructive qualities. It is where we have our psychological breakthroughs. I do think for you, with the 5 of Cups here, you're having a bit of a breakthrough in how you've dealt with your feelings. Maybe you've carried them for a very long time. Maybe that links back to childhood. Maybe you had a lot of responsibility. Maybe you had a lot of people around you that were very stressed, and it's made you an anxious person. Obviously, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not going into this with a psychology degree. I'm just going into this with someone who has a stellium in the 8th house, and I want to say what I've learned from it. With the Strength and the 6 of Cups card, maybe you've had to be strong for a very long time, and you've confused avoiding something with being resilient. And that's not to accuse you of anything, but there is something with this 8th house energy that gives you a phoenix moment, something that you overcome. Now, it could be to do with a water sign. It could be to do with a Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Maybe that's a relationship you've left behind. Maybe it's a relationship that's changing you. It could be love, friendship, family, whatever this is. Maybe you didn't see eye to eye with this person, and whatever that is, maybe they're very different from you in the way they process their emotions, but you've learned from them. For better or for worse, you've learned from them. And they, in some capacity, have started you off on this new journey where you're trusting your intuition. And you're trusting your intuition because you've done the inner work. You've looked inward. You've examined some stuff. You've shone a light on some corners, and you've seen some things within you that, yes, are self-destructive. You've seen some things that you build up and you build up and you faster until you explode and all the words come out like word vomit, to quote Mean Girls. Word vomit, where it all just comes out in one big go. And everyone thinks, ooh, jeepers, where did that come from? It's the stuff you've been storing. And around the Scorpio full moon, your words can really push out if you're holding them in. What you should do, while Mercury is going through your 8th house, what you should do is you should use that investigative mind, not to be suspicious, not to be paranoid, but to investigate, to play Cluedo, to watch murder mysteries, to watch true crime documentaries, anything that gives you that inquisitive, let me solve this mind, so that you don't go poking around in other people. Because the real probing that you should be doing, Virgo, is internally. Why do I react like this? Where does this come from? Why does this person's comments make me explode? Because the more you can probe into your emotions while we're in Aries season, the more that Taurus season is going to benefit you. The more that in Taurus season you rise above and you see this higher perspective and you start to shoot some arrows off into the distance like a Sagittarius and go after them. Go after your goals with a light heart. Because I don't think when you're starting Aries season you feel so light. Do you? The 8th house is where we go to transform. It's where we have that mini death in ourselves. And when you see the Hermit and the Tower card, where you're looking, the little adventure inward you're going, that solitude, that moment alone where you look at yourself rather than everybody else, you start to dismantle some things. You start to tear down some things that have been walls keeping you prisoner. The Tower is setting free Rapunzel. It's setting you free. It's not leaving you homeless. And it might feel a bit wobbly whenever these walls start coming down and you start feeling very aware of where maybe you've compensated for some hurt by changing your body or changing your hair or changing your clothes or all that other stuff that's nice. It's nice to feel good, but maybe you have had something inside that you've needed to dismantle. And Aries season is saying, here you go. That new moon is a beautiful, auspicious new moon to have in your 8th house. And it could be your relationship with money. It could be your relationship with power, status, all of that stuff. Now, the tricky thing about that is that your Mars transit of your 10th house of status and power is going to be squaring off with Neptune and Pisces. And when it squares off with Neptune and Pisces, you're going to get very suspicious of people, especially relationships, but also power figures, authority figures. You're going to start feeling like everybody's out to get you. Don't make any impulse decisions, please. Let the Aries new moon come around. Look inward a little bit more. Read into your own actions rather than everybody else's for a moment. With the 6 of Cups and the Strength card, if you're dealing with a Leo, either way the energy's moving forward. Moving forward. Blocks are lifted. Communication barriers are lifted. Your energy is free and peaceful. The Fool and the High Priestess is a new beginning for you that is peaceful. It feels like you could take a risk using nothing more than your intuition. That's a good call. Because it sends you on a journey where you have a lot more opportunities and you have a lot more strength. But, as I say, leading with your intuition, not with your anxiety, not this. Not with the things that are keeping you hostage. So let's have a little look at your oracle cards and see what we get. I want to know what your spirit animals are, Virgo, for Aries season. Ooh, the nightingale. I love that. The nightingale, the peacock, and the camel. Gorgeous. Okay, so let's talk about the bird energy for a second. The Nightingale is about using your voice. It's about singing as well. Using your voice, letting people hear you. For some of you, you're putting your voice out there for the first time on a platform. It's very scary, but you've thought about it for long enough. It is probably time. The Scorpio full moon is in your third house of communication, and it's a beautiful time to sing, to write, to journal, to get it all out on paper. Because it is in tension, it's opposite Uranus in your 9th house, there could be political arguments or arguments and differences of opinion. So if you don't fancy that, maybe keep yourself to yourself. But if you do fancy that and you do feel like challenging those voices is part of you overcoming your inner fear, then just make sure you keep it fair. That's all. The Peacock is about showing your stuff, showing what you have going for you. But it can occur whenever you are too focused on what you look like in order to escape something going on internally. And the Camel is just the Strength card. It's where you have this powerful reserve. You have these resources you go to. And for a lot of Virgos, April is going to be a month where you figure out what those resources are. Be it a good friend who you can talk to. Be it talking to your partner and realizing that you're not so crazy for just having feelings. And the thing about having feelings is if you are comfortable expressing them and you're comfortable with them, they don't start to overpower you because the psyche will be heard. Those feelings will push forward. They'll manifest in different ways. Maybe they'll not go to the source, but they'll go to your work. They'll go to your decision-making processes. They'll go to your relationships with your family. And Aries season is where we overcome those, where you learn to self-soothe in a way that makes you feel better and doesn't require any assurance from anybody else. We have the Woman Holding a Heart, the Angel of Love, and the Deceit card. So you have a very suspicious mind at points in Aries season. Where does that come from? Where does that suspicious mind start from? Was it a betrayal? Was it abandonment? It's time to pour some love into that. The Sun and Venus meet in Aries, your 8th house, in order to give some love to the areas that feel painful, feel fearful, feel deceptive. Where you've deceived yourself, pour some love in that. Let's have a little look at your extended. I'm going to get into the different signs. We have the water signs here. We have the earth signs, fire signs, air signs. It'll get into all the cards, and it will also get into the different zodiac signs you could be dealing with. So if you want to join me there, Virgo, it's linked below. If not, I'll see you in the next video. Bye, Virgo.